Hi, this is Muhammad Ali Amir. Today I will be quickly briefing about mobile application development using Android platform. As you know, there are millions of applications on Android platform, and it's a pretty rich platform to develop any kind of mobile applications. You can see there are many applications like where the user data is stored just on the device storage itself, and there are several applications which require on the backend server for the processing and fetching the data from there, and some not even some, a lot of applications rely on the push notifications. So these are just few examples, but everything is possible using Android platform, because as I said, it's a pretty rich platform to develop any kind of mobile application. So I will quickly walk through you this mobile application which I made recently. It's called Smart Shop, and it has its like a front end and it has a back end. At the back end is basically going back to GCP, where it calls our REST API backend service, which is hosted at GCP, Google Cloud Platform. And if you go here, you can see that's the application here. You can access it from here, and the code base is here, and it briefs you about this functionality of this app quickly with some screenshots, and you can get the idea of what you can do. So this application is basically allows you to persist some of the user data in that phone, in the device storage itself, but some data it uses Google Firebase to store user data here, and using very identifier like key here, it can allow us the app to communicate from one user to another using the push notification, which also Firebase provides this ability, so that which allow the application to send push notifications from one app to from one instance of the app to another instance of the app, means like from one user of that same app to another user of the same app. So this is pretty brief about that project. As you can see, there are different packages, which is like we have fragments, like we can split up your app in different fragments. Suppose you have a complex screen, so you can split your screen into multiple fragments, and you can manage different activities within each fragment. So it's a kind of very modular approach to developing your application. It's easy to maintain activity wise if you fragment out screens into multiple activities. So that is a very good feature of having a fragments, and usually in complex apps you eventually at some point you may need a fragment underneath which you invoke different activities, and you can have an adapter, you can have like asynchronous calls to the server, like, and most of the time you rely on data, right? But not always you rely on data which is locally stored on the device, right? You have to rely on some server or the backend server which is pushing data back to your app, right? So and our app should be very intuitive, right? It should be very responsive. So while the user keep working on the app, and if it triggers any request which has to take the round trip from the server, so user work should not get stuck, right? User keep on doing what it has to. So we have asynchronous tasks which we can use, and using that we can invoke the REST call or another kind of call, which once from that, using asynchronous tasks, we can fetch the data from there, and once that, and user keep continuing his work. But once when we get the data back from server, we can populate the app of whatever the activity user is on. We can populate the data with that as soon as we get the data. So using asynchronous tasks, user can keep continuing what is supposed to be doing and not stuck and waiting for the response back from the server. So as a quick example of this asynchronous task loader, where you define what you need to do in the background. So whatever you need to fetch from the server, it keeps happening as a background process, and user continues what it's supposed to do. And once it returns back the result, we can process it and render it over the app in that particular activity, over the views which are composed inside the activity. Earlier I was referring about the push notification. So your as you can see in most of the application, you see some kind of notifications happening. So it can be internally generated notification, or some trigger from the server gets triggered, which gives a pop-up notification to the user. So if server needs to notify the app, so it's called a push notification. So server pushes something to notify all of the apps, or maybe few users of the app. So like in this particular application, it's like we maintain a shop list like as demoed here, and you can see the video for this here too, and you can follow this video and see how this app is working. So how push notification works here. So user saves his grocery list, as you can see here, and you can share this to another user who are added as a contacts to it. Okay, so once that is done, so it can share it. So but whenever he changes, user makes any changes to the list, maybe by adding a new item or removing an existing item, and saves it, so the push notification from here allows user of the app to to notify through using the Firebase notification. It pushes back the information to the other app to whom the list is being shared. So with that notification, the other user gets aware that that list has been modified by this user who has shared this list to you. So that is one particular use case where I have used the push notification. So, and it's pretty easy to do this, and it's in the code base here. So which I have briefed here, and you have a handle to it here. You can access the project here. All the code base is here for the push notifications here, and you can review the code and get back to me for any questions. So, and I'm happy to help anytime. Thank you.